data types in Python. Now, generally, Python have some standard data types like numbers, string, list, tuple, dictionary, set. In case of Python, we have almost 14 data types. We have almost 14 data types. So whenever we want numbers, so at that time we will use numbers as integer, that is nothing but integer, float, complex. If it is a string, we'll use a string. Then if suppose sequence we want, then we have list, tuple. If we want key value pair, then we have dictionary, and set type of data types like a set and frozen set. Then boolean as a bool. So many data types we have. So generally there are 14 data types, but mostly what we are using, that is nothing but numbers, string, list, tuple, dictionary, and set. Now we'll discuss one by one what is numbers, what is string, what is a list, tuple, dictionary, and set. Now first data type of Python, that is numbers. If you want any numeric value, if you want to store numeric value in Python, you can use numbers. So generally Python supports integer, float, complex type of numbers, integer, float, complex type of numbers. The long data type, it is not supported by Python 3, but it is supported by Python 2. Nowadays, everything, even it is long, it will be considered as an integer. So Python, if you want numbers to be stored in Python, if you want to store numbers in the variable, Python variable, so at that time you can use integer, float, or complex type of numbers. Now, as we know, Python is dynamically typed language. So you need not to specify whether the Python, whether you are giving integer type of data, whether you are giving float type of data, whether you are giving complex type of data. So what you can do, you can just will have this data, and it will automatically detect whether it is integer, float, or complex type of numbers. So in Python, it has integer as, if suppose a is the variable, you have a is equal to 3. If you put a is equal to 3, automatically Python will understand this is the integer data type, and it will store into the variable. So this is a variable, and this is the data that you will store. Similarly, b is equal to 5.33. It is a float data, and it is stored in this particular variable. Complex, you can have complex also, 3 plus 4i. So such type of numbers you can store. The next data type in a Python, that is a string. That is a string. So what is a string? Generally, what is a string? So string is nothing but it is the set of characters. String is nothing but a set of characters. So you are storing a set of characters into a variable. So that will act as a string. So whenever you want to write a string, or whenever you want to store a string, at that time you have to put that into single inverted comma or double inverted comma. So whatever you will write inside the single inverted comma or double inverted comma, that will act as a string, and you can store into the variable. So example is given here as a is equal to hello. So hello is the word that is stored as a string into variable a. So this is nothing but a string data type. You are storing hello into the variable a. Now string will have different characteristics. String will have different characteristics. So what is the characteristics and all that we'll see. So generally string is called as immutable. String is immutable. Why it is called immutable? Because you can access the letters. If suppose H you can access, E you can access, LL you can access, but you cannot modify it. You cannot modify it. So that is nothing but string becomes immutable. Now, whenever you are taking input from the input function or input method, so by default it is a string data type. By default it is a string data type. And whenever if you want to perform some operations, then you must change it to other type. For example, you want to perform addition of two numbers, a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 6, and you want to accept that input from the keyboard. So at that time, it will accept the input in terms of string. And if you perform addition, so instead of addition, it will do the concatenation. So that if 5 and 6 is accepted, your answer will be 5, 6, means 56. But actually answer should be 11. So this is happening because of the input function have a default input in the form of string. So you must change it into float, you must change it into integer, and then it will accept. So that is nothing but about the string. As I have told, string is immutable. You cannot change a single letter from the string. You cannot change single letter from the string. So that is nothing but the property of the string. String is immutable. Now, what are various operations we can perform on the string? So string, as the string, if suppose we are having a string, for example, string as a hello, 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 okay. Then a string, every letter having some index. So the letters having index, so how that index will be, for example, index will be like this. So this is the 0th index, this is the first index, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth index. So every letter having index. So you can access single letter from the string. You can access the multiple letters from the string. So that is called as slicing. So string supports indexing and slicing. So every letter or whatever you are storing, it will be stored at an index. So you will have indexing, means string supports indexing as well as the slicing. So we'll see it in the Jupyter notebook how to do it. So what are the operations you can perform? You can access single letter from the string. You can access multiple letters from the string. If suppose you want EL to be accessed from the string, you can access EL from the string. How we'll see. Now, what are other operations that you can perform on the string? So you can change the string from lowercase to uppercase. You can change the string from uppercase to lowercase. You can count the number of letters in the string, how many number of characters in the string. You can add the string, you can reverse the string, and many operations you can perform on the string. So string is, as I have told, the string is nothing but a data type from the Python, where you are storing the characters, set of characters into the variable, and that must be in the single inverted comma or double inverted comma. If you are storing in a single inverted or double inverted comma, that will act as a string. That will act as a string. And by default, from input function or input method, you are taking input as a string, as well as the string is immutable. String is immutable. So I will show you in the Jupyter notebook how it works. See, we'll begin with what is the Python data types. Python data types. Python data types. Now, as I have told, there are different types of Python data types. We are starting from the numbers. So first is numbers. Now, if suppose we have variable a as a variable, and I want to store variable value as an integer, so I just have to put a is equal to 4. So I need not to specify what is the type of variable. So I will print it without any problem. I will print it, so it will run. So 4, you can see the 4 is stored in a variable a. Also you can check what is the type of it, type of a. So it will give the type as a class integer. So it is accepting as an integer. Now suppose I want another variable where I will store the float value 45.78, and I can print it, print b, and I will check what is the type of it, and type of b. Now it will give the answer as a 45.78, and class is float. Class is float. So as we know, Python is dynamically typed the language. So you need not to specify whether it is float, whether it is integer, but automatically Python can detect whether it is integer or float. It can detect, Python can detect integer or float. Now, if suppose I want to store complex number, if suppose c is equal to 3 plus 4i, and I will print it, print of c. Okay, wait a minute. Yes. So now you can have this, and you can print type of it, type of C. So it will be complex. So instead of I, it is J you must put, otherwise it will not display. So Python will automatically detect the integer type, whether it is float type, whether it is a complex type of data. So this is nothing but what we can say, it is about dynamically typed language. Now, if suppose sometimes what happens, you have value in a as a 4, and that is a in the class integer, or it is integer type. This is an integer type, and for your operation you want to convert into some other form like a float. You want to change it to float. So I will have the suppose d is equal to float of float of a float of a, and I will print it, print d, and I will check what is the type of d, type of d. I have converted the a value, a variable having a value as a 4, and I have converted into float, and I will check whether it will work or not. Yes, now 4 will become 4.0. So how we can identify the float value? Float value will have point, or you can say fraction point, or a decimal point, and the float will be as a 4.0. Similarly, if suppose I want to convert this 4 into complex form, so whether it is possible or not, we'll check whether it is possible or not. So it is complex, and a, and print e, print e. Now we'll check. Now see here, it is converted into complex as a 4 plus 0j, because it has only integer, or it is having a real part only. Imaginary part is not available. So 4 plus 0j, 4 plus 0j. So this is nothing but how you can convert one data type into other data type. Now suppose for example C is in a complex format. So I will check for whether it will work for integer or not. Integer of C, and I will print it, print f. So how it will respond? You cannot convert complex into integer. So it is not possible to convert everything into everything. In case of integer, you can convert into float, you can convert into complex. But if you want to change from complex to integer, complex to float, it will not change, because you are what is happening, you are doing some changes into this, and complex, you cannot convert from complex into the integer, complex into the integer. Here a is integer data type, b is the float data type, c is the complex data type. You can convert integer into float, you can convert integer into complex, but you cannot convert flow complex into integer, complex into integer. Now what about float? We'll check for float. If suppose g is equal to complex of b is the float value, and we'll print it, print g. Now it will convert. So there is no issue of converting from float to complex. So 45.78 plus 0j, because imaginary part is 0. Imaginary part is 0. So I think you got it. What is the numbers? If you want numbers, there are three different types of values that is supporting. A is equal to 4, that will act as an integer. In case of b, if there is a decimal point, it will be acts as a float. If plus 4 means j, in terms of j, that will act as a complex. And you can interchange integer into complex, float into complex, float into integer. So that is also possible. Float into integer is also possible. Integer of b, so that is also possible. Print h. So it will just take 45. It will remove the 0.78. That is the decimal point it will remove. So this is nothing but how you can interchange one value into other value. So this is about how the numbers will be accessed into the Python. Numbers, integer, float, and complex, they can be interchanged, but complex cannot be interchanged into integer or float. So this is about how the numbers are. Now after numbers, another data type that we have discussed, that is nothing but string. That is nothing but string. Now in case of string, we know that string is nothing but the set of characters that are stored in the variable in the double inverted or single inverted comma. For example, my string one is equal to, I am substituting that into single inverted comma, hello, and I will print it. So I will print string one, str1. So it will print hello, hello. Similarly, if suppose my string 2 is equal to, if I am substituting, or if I am writing in a single inverted comma, then also it will accept. There is no issue with this single inverted or double inverted comma. Print string 2, string 2. So in both cases, you can specify string in single inverted comma, or you can specify string in a double inverted comma. So that is possible, single inverted or double inverted comma. Now, as the string 1, string 2, we have. Now, what are various operations we can do? As per our discussion, string supports the indexing and slicing. Indexing and slicing. So, what do you mean by indexing? Indexing means every letter will be stored at particular index, so that it is better to identify, it is better to retrieve that letter. For example, HELLO. So indexing will start from 0. Indexing will start from 0. So for that, H will be stored at 0th index, E will be at the 1 index, L will be at the 2 index, another L will be at the 3 index, and O at the 4th index. So this is stored as index H as 0 index, E as 1 index, L as 2, next L is 3, O is 4. So this is about how indexing works. So this indexing will support for getting every letter accessible. You can access any letter from the string. You can access any letter from the string. So for example, how I can access it, I suppose string 1, then I want to access the first letter from the string. So H I want to access. So I will just put 0 in a square bracket. So once I put the 0 in square bracket, it will just access H. Suppose I want string 1 of 1, means first letter I want, means second letter I want, then I have E. So similarly, you can access any letter from the string. So string, you can access first letter, second letter, third letter, fourth letter, fifth letter. So string support indexing. String supports indexing. The first letter will be stored at 0 index, next will be at 1 index, next 2, 3, and 4, fourth index. Now I can access the last also, string 1 of 4. String 1 of 4. So it is O. So HELLO. So last letter is O. Now suppose in case of string, as it supports the indexing, it can support the slicing as well. So what do you mean by slicing? Slicing means you can select some part of it. If suppose in my some operation I want some letters, suppose ELL I want, HE or ELL I want. So how I can access it? So slicing is supported by string. So how you can do the slicing? You have to specify the starting index of the slicing, and you have to specify ending index plus 1. Ending index plus 1, because if you write, if suppose I want ELL, what is the index of E1, what is the index of this L2, and this is a 3. If suppose I am writing 1 colon 3, 1 colon 3, it will just give you EL, it will just give you EL. So that as per my discussion, while giving for the slicing, the last index is not inclusive. Last index is not inclusive, means whatever letter at the last index will not be displayed. So what we can do, we can add one more value. So instead of 3, if I write 4, if I write 4, then definitely as per my requirement I will get the output as a ELL. So always remember, in case of slicing, first index is inclusive, means whatever letter at the first index will be displayed. But for the last index is not inclusive, it is exclusive, so that it will display till last index minus 1, last index minus 1. And because of that, if I want ELL to be printed, I must write string 1 1 colon 4, 1 colon 4. So this is nothing but how slicing and indexing will be performed. This is called as slicing. This is called as slicing, like our cake, we are slicing the cake, so we are cutting into the part. So that is also called as slicing in the string. So this is a slicing about string. Now, one more interesting thing I would like to tell you about the string. If suppose I am having a string 3, I will take string 3 is equal to hello Python. Okay, hello Python. Now, in case of this string, even the space, this is a space in between, that is also considered as a one character. That will be also considered as a one character. Now this string, we know that string can support indexing. It will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, correct? Now string also supports reverse indexing or negative indexing. String also supports negative indexing. So what do you mean by negative indexing? If suppose I want to print n, so how I can print n? So I will just print string 3 of what is the later indexing of this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, space is 5th, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So I will put 11 so that it will display n, correct? But instead of that, the string supports the reverse indexing also. So simply, if suppose string 3 of -1, if I write -1, then also n can be accessed. So reverse indexing, how string supports reverse indexing? This is nothing but a forward indexing from 0 to infinity or 0 to next value. But in case of string, we have negative indexing also. So the n will be at -1. This is -2. This is -3. T at -4. Y at -5. P at -6. So similarly, you can access with the help of minus indexing as well. So reverse indexing or negative indexing as well. If suppose I want to access P, I want to access P. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So -6 will be 0, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct. -6. So it will have the P value. Means in case of string, from any direction you can move and you can access any letter from the string. So we have seen how to access each letter from the string, string 1, then hello Python. In that case, we have the negative index and positive index as well. So if you want to access n with the forward index or positive index, that is 11, but you can access with the minus also or negative also. So this is how we can access the string in the forward direction and negative indexing. So string supports slicing as well. String supports slicing as well. Now if suppose I want to print it, I will print the string, print string 3. So you can print this string. So hello Python, it is printed. Now as I have told, a string is immutable. So what do you mean by immutable? String is immutable. Immutable string means you cannot change the single letter from the string. Suppose for example, we'll take first value or first example only, and I will run it. So string 1 hello, this will be print string 1, so it will print hello. Now suppose I want to access the second letter, string 1 of 0 1 means second letter, so it will be accessed, correct? So E is the letter. Now suppose I am trying string 1 of 1, if I want to change it to different letter, if suppose I want W, okay, W in this case. So I will, if I run this, it will give an error or it will throw an error. So what error it will give? The string object does not support item assignment. Means if you want to assign some value, you cannot assign it. So assignment of the value is not possible in case of the indexing. But string 1, whatever string 1 we have, we can assign another string. Into the string 1, and that is possible. But in case of string, the later replacement is not possible. That is nothing but called as immutable. So string, once the string is created, you cannot change. So that is nothing but string cannot support for the assignment of the values. So you cannot change the value in case of string. So this is nothing but how you can prove the immutability. So this is called as string is immutable. So we have proved that string is immutable. Okay, now we have string 1. The string 1 value is hello. So there are many operations that you can perform on the string. So as I have told, string, you can reverse the string, you can uppercase the string, you can lowercase. So we'll have this. So string 1 dot. So if you want to perform some operations, you can have inbuilt functions. You have some inbuilt method in case of Python. So string 1, in this string 1, H is the capital letter and all other are the small letters. But sometimes in real life, we have to compare some string, and in that case, capital and small are considered as a different letters, right? So we have to convert into single format. We have to convert into same format. So at that time, we can convert them into lowercase or we can convert them into uppercase. So if suppose string one dot lower is one function available. If I write string one dot lower, every string means every value or every letter will be assigned into the lowercase. So HELLO. Now here you can see the all letters are in the small case. All letter in the small case. If suppose I want to be uppercase, so I will have uppercase upper. So all the letters will be in the uppercase. So HELLO will be the uppercase. So this is the lowercase and this is uppercase. So there are many operations you can perform on the string. So you can just press tab and you can find how many operations you can perform on the string. So that many operations you can perform on the string. So from this we have found out what we have found out. We have found out lower, we have found out upper, we have found out we will use many operations on this. So if suppose capitalize, then the letter first means if suppose the sentence in case of string, if suppose I have a string 4, what is the purpose of capitalize? So that I would like to tell you. Hello, I am learning. I'm learning Python. Okay. So capitalize means what? So that you can understand here. Capitalize. So it will make every starting value or every starting character of the string will be capital. So here you can see hello. Then it is nothing but the first letter is capital. There is one more function that is a title case. I think title. So you can see in case of title, every letter, first letter will be capitalized. First letter will be capitalized. So this is the difference between capitalize and the what you can say title. String 4 dot capitalize. So it will not have any much changes, only the starting letter of the paragraph or starting letter of this particular string will be capitalized. All other values will be remain same. But in case of title case, this is a title case where every letter of every word will be capitalized. So hello, H will be capitalized, I will be capitalized, am, A will be capitalized, learning, L will be capitalized, Python, P will be capitalized. So every letter can be capitalized. So we have seen there are many methods. One is lower, it will convert all the letters into the lowercase. Upper, it will convert into uppercase. Capitalize, it can convert first letter into the uppercase. Then we have title case. So every string or every word's first letter will be capitalized, or you can say uppercase. So those are some functions we have. Now if suppose string 4, we have a string 4 and I want to calculate how many letters are there. I want to calculate how many letters are there. So how I can calculate that? So there is a function called as len. There is a function in the Python that is a length. So it will calculate the length of the string. So it will print length is 26. It shows that there are total 26 letters or there are 26 alphabets. So you can count and you can verify whether there are 26 or not. 1 2 3 4 5, 6 is a space, 7 8 9 10, 11 is a space, 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19. This is a 20 as a space, 21 22 23 24 25 26. So total 26 letters are there in the string. So you can count how many letters are there in the string by using a length command, by using a length method. So it will count how many letters are there. So those are some functions from the string. There are many functions, as I have told, you can perform on the string. Now one more function, if suppose string 4 dot, there is a one function as a count. So it will count the letter. If suppose I want to count how many times E appears in this particular string, how many times E appears into this string. So I will just put E and I will run it. It will give you answer as this is repeated 2 times. So now check whether it is correct or not. H is a first E and this is another E. If suppose I have E more E's and I want to I will run it. and I will again I will run this particular value, then or function or method. Then there are 11 number of e's, so you can count how many number of e's: 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So total e's are 11. So this count function can be used to check how many means alphabets, particular alphabet, how many times it is repeated in that particular string. So count will give you the letter repetition, or how many times the letter will be repeated into the string. Similarly, if suppose you can have o, how many times o is repeated into this, that is a 2 times. You can see this is a 1 and this is a 2 times. Then even the space also you can count whether how many spaces are there. Total, there are total 5 spaces. This is a space. How many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Total 5 spaces are there. So you can count whether space is there or not, whether particular letter is available in the string or not. So many things, many operations you can perform on the string. So we have seen today what about the numbers, what are different types of numbers, how to convert one data type or one integer into float, float into complex, how we can convert it. Then about string, how to declare a string, how to access single letter from the string, how to slice the string, how to get the value from reverse indexing. So many things, how string is immutable, that how we cannot access or how we cannot assign the value into the string. And then there are different methods on the string like lower, upper, capitalize, title. So many methods we have seen. So this is about the string. We will see it later what are different other methods. So thank you for joining.